Hello guys, welcome back to calculus class. And this time I will go over this simple trick practice about this because this is the basic knowledge that you have to master in order to proceed in calculus class. And for basic triangles and polar coordinate, so remember there are three types of triangles that you must memorize. One for 30-degree, which is pi over 6. And for this one, this is gonna be 1, this is gonna be square root of 3, and that's gonna be 2. So remember this ratio. And if you flip this one, if you flip it like this, you're gonna have, another direction. Then it's gonna be 60-degree, which is pi over 3. This time, this is gonna be 1 here, that's gonna be square root of 3, and that's gonna be 2. All right? And there's one last triangle that you have to memorize. If these two are equal to each other, which means this is gonna be 45-degree, which means it's a pi over 4, because pi is 180-degree. In that case, ratio is gonna be 1, 1, and square root of 2. All right? So based on this angle, this side is gonna be opposite. This is gonna be adjacent. That's gonna be hypotenuse. That's gonna be opposite. This is going to be adjacent. That's going to be hypotenuse. Okay. So you can memorize this one. Or here, thanks to Emily, she made this wonderful cheat sheets here, and you can use this one, which I really recommend you to memorize this one. That's what you can use with the sine cosine. She even come up with a, wait a second, what is this? Oh, so that's if you do derivatives. So derivative of sine is the cosine, derivative tangent is secant, and stuff like that, okay? And you can come up with this one. I wish this one could be more colorful, but good job, Emily. You did way better than I did. So I'm proud of you, girl. You're gonna pass this test. So here we go. We're gonna do this one. So that's a very basics that you can do. I will go over this. You can go over this one, okay? So let's do this one. So find the derivative of the following equation when x is equal to this and this. So these are two questions in one. So let's do the derivative, okay? So derivative of x could be sine is gonna become cosine x times cosine x plus, now let's do the derivative of cosine. Derivative of cosine is going to be negative sine x times, copy this one down, sine x. So when you simplify this one, this is going to be cosine squared x minus sine squared x. So very simple, okay? Now, we're going to plug this one in, pi over 6 and then pi over 4. Pi over 6 is going to be this triangle. So for the cosine, let's do this. You remember SOHCAHTOA, right? SOHCAHTOA. So cosine is going to be ka, adjacent over hypotenuse. So for the pi over 6, let's use triangle. Adjacent over hypotenuse, so it's the square root of 3 over 2. Okay? So this is pi over 6 is going to be now, instead of x, you're going to plug in pi over 6. Okay. You know what? Let me write this one down for you. Minus sine squared pi over 6. And because of the cosine is a ka, so this is just as we looked, it's going to be square root of 3 over 2. And squared because of this squared, okay? Minus sine is opposite over hypotenuse, okay? So it's gonna be what? Based on this angle, opposite over hypotenuse is a 1/2. So it's gonna be 1/2 squared. All right? So let's apply squared part. So it's gonna be a square root of this one is gonna be 3 over this one is gonna be 4 minus this one is gonna be still 1 over this one is gonna be 4. So as you can see, that's gonna be 2 over 4, which will become 1/2. That's it. Now let's plug in pi over 4, okay? So now I'm gonna do pi over 4 minus sine squared pi over 4. So let's look at this one. Based on this angle, opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, who cares? It's gonna be a square root of 2 over 2. You should memorize this. So if you look at this Emily's note, do you see this pi over 4 is this one? Like cosine and sine. So that's the better way to memorize it instead of this triangle. I mean, this is how I memorized it, but the best way is gonna be memorizing this one. Like you gotta understand this polar coordinate. So let's do this one. So this is gonna be square root of 2 over 2 squared minus, same thing, square root of 2 over 2 squared. And some of you will notice already, like Carol, she just came up with a 0 pretty quickly. That's gonna be, if you simplify everything, it's gonna be 1/2 minus 1/2. And that is gonna be equal to 0. If you don't understand where I get this 1/2 from, just make sure you apply this one to this, and then simplify it, okay? So you can try this one by yourself. Make sure you do the derivative of this one times copy this, and plus derivative of tangent plus this, okay? So you can work on this one. Make sure you memorize the derivative of all these things. And I think I even showed you how to do this one pretty quickly. So sometimes you can simplify this one. For example, secant, right? Like there are two ways of doing it. So if you do the derivative, that's a method number 1, which I do not recommend. You do the derivative of this one, which is going to be secant x times tangent x. That's the derivative of secant. Okay. But you got to also multiply by sine x by the product rule. Plus derivative of sine x, which is a cosine x, times copy secant x. That's what you can do. And you can simplify this one, whichever you want. So that's one thing that you can do. Or what I remember is you can simplify this one by using property. So secant x is in fact is a cosine x, right? So it's a 1 over cosine x times sine x, which means it's gonna be sine x over cosine x, which means it's gonna be same thing as a tangent x. So I didn't drive it yet. I just made this one look this, right? So now I know this one means tangent x. So now I can do the derivative. It's gonna be secant squared x. You see, like before I come up with this, I had that long little thing. And if you plug in pi over 3 and pi over 4, still you're gonna get the exactly same answer. But I believe this one is gonna be better. So let's do this one. Secant squared x. So I'm gonna put, what should I put? Pi third first. Pi over 3 first. So secant squared pi over 3. Now let's look at here. Secant means 1 over cosine. So pi over 3 it's gonna be 1/2 here. So that's the cosine, right? But secant is a 1 over cosine, which means I have to flip this. So it's gonna be, in this case, this is gonna be 2 squared, which you will get 4, okay? And derivative of pi over 4 is gonna be, so again, it's gonna be square root of 2 over 2, right? So again, you gotta flip this one. So, I mean, it's square root of 2, but let me do it like this one. 2 squared, right? So let's do this one. Yeah, it's gonna be, if you do it like this, it's gonna be 4 over 2, which you will get 2, right? So that's how you do it. Let's put it as simple, right? So I believe you guys can do the rest of the questions by yourself about this one. Maybe I will go over one more question here so that you can do this one using the, what's it called? This. So let me go over this one, okay? Let me go over this. Find the derivative. And now this time you're only applying pi over 2. So let's do this. By the product rule, so I have this one times this. So what should I do? 3x squared times, I'm gonna copy this one down, plus, now I have to do derivative of sine x over 3, which will become cosine x over 3 times derivative of inside, which is going to be just 1/3, multiplied by this part, which is x to the 3rd power. Okay, so before I proceed, let me make it, so I'm going to plug in, what's the number that I plug in? Pi over 2. Yeah, I'm going to plug in pi over 2. But let me make it look a bit nicer. So it's going to be 3x squared times sine x over 3. Only thing that I actually have to make look nicer is here. 1/3 x to the 3rd power times cosine x over 3. Now, instead of x, now I'm going to put pi over 3, right? So here, let me do it on a side note. So it's going to be x over 3 here, right? But instead of x, now I'm going to put pi over 2. So here, I'm going to put pi over 2 here. Can you see that? Now let's simplify this. So 3 means 3 over 1. So remember, inside goes to the bottom, and outside goes to the top. So it's going to be pi over 6, right? So x over 3, this one, if I plug in everything, so 3. So let's, okay, I think you're confused. X is equal to pi over 2, right? So here x, I'm going to put pi over 2 squared sine. Now, instead of x over 3, here, which I went over here, this one, if I plug in pi over 2, x over 3 will become pi over 6. And this one is going to be pi over 2 the 3rd power times cosine x over 3. So x over 3 is going to be pi over 6, which we already went over. And yeah, let's try to simplify this. So what's the sine pi over 6? According to this, pi over 6 for sine is going to be 1/2. So it's going to be what? 3 times this one. If I go over this one, it's going to be pi squared over 4 times 1/2 plus 1/3. If it goes here and here, it's going to be what? Pi to the 3rd power times 8 times cosine pi over 6 is the square root of 3 over 2 here. Square root of 3 over 2. Simplify everything. It's going to be 4 times 2 is going to be 8 in the bottom. Top 3 times pi squared times 1 is 3 pi squared. Plus, let's multiply all the bottoms. So all this one is going to be what? 48 on the top. And on the top, it's going to be pi to the 3rd power times square root of 3. And that's all I need. Okay? I mean, you can simplify further if you want to, but that's not what I want. Only thing that I want is you can come up with this one, okay? Even if you can come up with this one, I'm happy with it. But the reason that I'm want this far is because at least I need to grade your paper. So that's the reason, okay? So that's about it for this video. For the next video, I will try to go over like more questions here. For you, Mariani and Maria, stop complaining. And yeah, Angie, I'm pretty sure by this time you're gonna be very happy. So I will try to explain more clear and then slowly. So I hope that one helped. Okay, that's about it, guys. I love you as always. Study hard. Bye, guys.